motorway just the other night. Sunlight.
Okay, so we're here today with Eimhear Ní Ghlacaín. We're in Carrickmacross at McArdle's Bar, where Eimhear is just about to perform live in a gig. Eimhear, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to Republic Media today. We're just going to run through a quick interview. So let's get started. How long have you been involved in music, and what's your background in music?
Yeah, so music's been in our family since I was little, and obviously my dad Jerry's the Irish Brigade, so it's always been part and parcel of growing up since I was wee, going to my dad's gigs, and any family function the guitar would come out. Christmas time the guitar was out, any excuse for a session the guitar was out, so I just always grew up with music as well. Everyone sings, even my mum sings. No, she doesn't sing publicly,
right,
but behind closed doors and family functions mummy and daddy would sing as well. And all my brothers have different bands. My brother Anton does a bit of rebel music as well, and now in the country scene. And then my brother has a band, and the other brother Jared is with the Irish Brigade as well. He plays bass. And then my sister Anya has joined the Irish Brigade, so she plays the bodhrán and sings, does the harmonies for the Irish Brigade. And then there's myself as well, so then I went solo myself.
Absolutely. And how long have you been performing, Eimhear, on your own?
On my own. So I was in a band with my brother, a wedding band, so we went about doing wedding songs. It wasn't me at all, just in the wee dress and hat and everything else, singing wedding songs. And then I moved to Australia, and I decided to start doing music properly, and I did an Irish bar there called the Cock and Bull in Bondi Junction. So we started an Irish night, Fenian Fridays, and it went down a hit. Friday wasn't a busy night for them, and then we started doing this. All the Irishmen, they got busier and busier and packed out, so we did a few more gigs. And then I moved back home from Australia, and I decided then I was going to do full front, just go rebel music back home. Professional rebel singer, if there's such a thing.
I mean, even in Ireland, we had actually heard about you singing in Australia. I myself had heard about it through mutual friends. And then when you came back to Ireland, you just hit the music scene, and I'd say within about 12 months, everybody knew your name. Eimhear Ní Ghlacaín was, you know, the foremost female rebel singer. How do you feel about your rise to famous essentially within Republican circles in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I suppose it's good to see, because when I decided to do rebel music, a lot of people, even my close circles, have told me there's no work in rebel music, and it's a niche market. When you think of bands and you think of Irish music, then you categorise that down to folk music, and then there's a smaller niche which is rebel music. So it's a small market. If you look at every town, there's not many bars that do rebel music. It's cities, there's not many, so we're in the minority there. So work can be hard to come by for rebel singers, generally speaking. So I knew it was a risk when I decided to put my name to rebel music. Once you're attached to rebel music, other bars might not want to associate with you, but I decided then that I would rather have a handful of gigs in a month doing what I love, singing rebel music, than play 6 nights a week doing pop music, because it's just not me. So I made that decision, I stood by it, and thankfully it's worked out for the best.
Well, that risk has, I think we can all see, has been rewarded. You know, you're advertising your gigs literally weeks, months in advance, so that would indicate that, you know, your bookings are well booked in advance as well. You're playing all over Ireland. How do you fit in the time to do it all? And you obviously really enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it. I love travelling. I love getting to different. I love playing the big gigs too, the big concerts, getting into the big Belfast City and Derry City and going to Dublin as well. But probably the gigs I love most is the small ones, like say South Armagh and the Cadytown, or you know, Middletown, where I've done as well, or getting to the likes of Dunloy, Cushendall, you know, where the real community spirit in there, or the likes of Tyrone. I play Eddie's in Greencastle, so it's real community. I love them ones where you sing about local volunteers, say Drum the Killy Martyrs, and the crowd goes silent and they sing along to it. Or I did the Hills Round Dunloy, Henry Hogan, Declan Martin in a gig in Dunloy, and fair play to them, they've been drinking, they won the championship, and they've been drinking for 2 days straight, and they were partying. As soon as I started that song, silent, you could have heard a pin drop, and that was all young fellas and girls. And just the respect that they showed to the songs, that's what just, I had a tear in my eye by the time I finished it. You know, the hairs were standing on my arms, and that's when you know that's
a good job.
That's a good job. That's what it's all about. You know, these memories being kept alive. These young people are still as passionate as they ever were. You know, so.
And I think that's one thing that certainly I hear when people are talking about you, is that you're introducing these songs to a whole new generation of Irish people and Irish Republicans. Do you feel that Irish Republican music has a real place in Irish society, and do you get a lot of good feedback about the martyrs that you're introducing people to?
Yeah, definitely. So even today, even with my music as well, I'm reaching another target market. Obviously, there's people who's always grown up with Irish music, rebel music. Their families have listened to it, their grannies, and passed down. But there's also new people now that, God, we never heard that in our house, or we didn't hear that. And I'm like, well, there you go, up the rebels. And you know, with Snapchat nowadays, I've got like 6,000 people follow me on Snapchat, so I put up the song, and then I'm getting good correspondence back from people as well, and like, here we go, like songs like Highland Paddy. Yes. I get that all the time, you know, young girls, violas, whatever, when I walk in, here we go, and up the rebel. So things like that there, it's just with social media getting through, like Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram, all them things, it's just reaching that other target market. One friend, they bring a bunch of friends with them and introduce them to the music. So I think rebel music is as big as it ever was, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's reaching out. Before, it might have been in smaller clubs, or you know, in the county, in the country areas, or in West Belfast, or the back streets of Ardoyne and things like that. Where nowadays we're going to Belfast City Centre, we're playing Derry City Centre, we're playing bigger hotels that mightn't have always have done rebel music before, who are now taking that risk. Yes. So hats off to anybody who has taken that risk. The likes of Cookstown would never have seen rebel music before, and I said, look, let's do a Rebel Sunday, and there's a few raised eyebrows. You can't do that here. Yes, we can. Yeah, we can. And we done it, and the Facebook post exploded, and of course there was negative attention, you know. Yep. Didn't realise this pub didn't welcome loyal Protestants or whatever, and of course it's not. I didn't realise this was a sectarian pub, and that's what they'll throw at you. Yeah. And none of the songs I sing are ever sectarian. Yeah. So I don't make it Catholic Protestant. These songs are simply keep memories alive. Yes. They keep the cause going for United Ireland. It isn't a Catholic Protestant thing. Yeah. So, and if you take the likes of my two children aren't even christened, so that's right. That doesn't come into it for me. Yes. So that's nil and void when that argument comes up with me as well. So yeah, we did it, and the place was packed in Cookstown. Yeah. And it got a bit of negative attention at the start, but as the next Rebel Sunday came, there was no negative tension. They got used to it. Yes. They tried to do intimidation. It didn't work, and now nobody bats eyelid. There's Rebel Sundays all the time in Cookstown.
So you've normalised that.
Yeah, that's it.
One of the things, obviously, that our viewers will be dying to know about is how you reacted to the recent unionist condemnation in the papers. I mean, the absolute support that came out was phenomenal. Social media was awash with I stand with Eimhear. The newspapers ran it for a couple of weeks. It was quite a big story. How did you feel about that onslaught from the unionists in trying to put you down, essentially? How did you react to that?
Yeah, so obviously it's around COVID time. There was a ban on music, and then music was then lifted, so we could do music again. So it was great to finally get a gig. We'd gone 3 or 4 months without any work, so I was starting to get a few gigs back, so it was all excitement, building it. The tickets sold out within 24 hours, the hotel had booked out all its rooms, so it was all real and high, but then came the negative attention from a small minority of unionists. And I think basically their issue was we were normalising, how dare we normalise singing rebel music in and around Omagh and around Tyrone. So and they tried to intimidate us, so the hotel got a backlash as well. They rounded up people to put negative reviews, 1-star ratings, and don't go to this hotel, so they got a lot of backlash too. And then of course it came on me then, what I wear, what I sing. I wasn't born in the Troubles, what would I know? All this negative backlash. They named my name, Eimhear Ghlacaín, Eimhear Ní Ghlacaín, Eimhear Rebel, my age, where I lived, as much detail as they could, pictures of me, videos of me, all put up again. So it was a form of intimidation. They were putting me up as a genuine target for anybody.
That wanted to.
Who wanted to, and realistically, the newsletter and the newspapers that ran with it, their target audience would be the unionist background. So people were like, no publicity is bad publicity, but when it's in the rebel scene, you don't really want to reach the unionists. That's not my demographic that I'm really after. The attention from, I could do without that attention. Thank you very much.
The support that you got from people, I mean, and it came from all backgrounds. How is there anything you want to say to the people who supported you and came out and publicly supported you?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Everybody came out to support. It really, like, I wouldn't say I was intimidated. It wasn't nice when it all happened. I was like, oh, here we go. And I'd worry more about what my friends and family are concerned about me as well. But for me, I was like, I'm going ahead. If the hotel's going ahead, I will be there. He was worried I was going to pull out, and I said, absolutely not. Because they're worried about what they said, normalising rebel music. And no harm to the crack, rebel music is normal for us. It always has. It goes hand in hand through ancient time, right through the modern time. It'll always be normal. So for the unionists, it's unfortunately, it's going to be normalising it for them in the new way. It's no longer their wee orange state, so it's going to be their new normal, not our normal. So when all the support came out too, it was really a great lift, and it's just then when you know you're doing the right thing and you have the support, and the atmosphere in the function room that night was electric, and the songs that we sang, I ended the night with Lockall Ambush. And like to end the night with that, and everybody just sang their heart outs, and it was great. And I said fair play, because people who came to the concert too might have felt intimidated not to show up, because they'd threatened protest, and they threatened the police, and they even threatened bomb attack as well, a pipe bomb. They threatened everything else. So there's different things. So I said thanks to all of you who showed up and to the gig, not only for me because I can come as well, but also to them who showed up as well. And then the Facebook, whoever came out from all walks, all different political parties, you know, it sort of united people, you know, we all stood together. It was great, and all the different rebel musicians, because I think when you hit one of us, you hit us all, because we're all doing it, so it was great to see, so I'm very thankful.
Just going back to a point that you had made, the newspapers had made a point of who you were, what you wore, etc. You're one of the very few female rebel singers. I can't think offhand of another one. You know, how did you feel? Did you feel that was an attack mainly because perhaps you were a woman? Do you think you came in for more flack being a female? Do you think a man would have got as much flack?
Possibly, yeah. I think like there's rebel singers and rebel bands throughout the country singing in places that I play, in the same bars I play, and it seems that they do like to narrow in on me for whatever reason. Maybe it is partly because I was a woman, or maybe because the profile I have on social media too. I reach quite a lot of people when I do that. So and at the moment, I suppose, with concerts and shows.
And the gig that you actually played in Noma that night, it was absolutely sold out. I mean, you couldn't get a ticket for love nor money. So the unionists actually done you a massive favour. A lot of people are saying that your profile is higher than it's ever been, and long may that continue.
Yeah, hopefully so. It didn't put us off anyway.
Social media is a big aspect of any industry now. You know, it appears that, you know, your bookings or your gigs are all sold out weeks in advance. It is quite hard to get a ticket. I mean, we're here interviewing you today. It's very hard for us to get you here today because you're in hot demand. You bring a lot of merchandise and stuff with you because obviously the people that follow you want that. So what kind of merchandise do you do, Eimhear, and how do people get their hands on it?
Yeah, so I have the top that I'm wearing now, my Eimhear Rebel t-shirt.
This is the famous one.
Yes, with the wee tricolour on the side as well that people like, so it's cool. So I just bought these t-shirts. I wanted to bring out t-shirts. All bands do it. That's what they do to keep us going, because it's expensive to be on the road. Absolutely. Guitar strings, guitar tuners, everything, petrol to get here and there, so everything. So that's what we do. We bring out t-shirts, and it's also fun. People turn up wearing your merchandise as well. It's pretty cool. It adds to the atmosphere. And I'm now turning up to gigs as well, where you're guaranteed a few people will be wearing the tops. Some of the bigger ones as well. It's quite funny when you're looking down, it looks like half an army council just rolling by, you know, wearing all the tops or whatever else. So people get into it, and it's just bringing people together. The atmosphere is electric. So I brought out the t-shirts, and I always had I've got my wee badges as well, because people are badge collectors like myself. That's right. So I've been collecting badges since going to all my dad's gigs, Irish Brigade gigs. There'll always be stands, you know, raising funds, whether it's for political prisoners or what it is. So I always bought the badges. So now, whenever I first got my badge, it was a bit of a wow moment. You know, I've been collecting badges since I was a child, and now I've got my own badge, my own logo. So it's great. And then we bottle openers as well, just things that people like to have.
It was just like there was such a demand for it as well.
Yeah, I was shocked myself. I ordered them and then they sold out, so I ordered another batch, and then before they even arrived, they were sold out again because they're harder to get because of the camo material.
That's right.
They're not just your like standard the black t-shirts, so they're harder. You have to put them a week in advance, and then it's a risk ordering too many because you don't want to order like 1,000. The next way you're left over with so much, particularly in this
you
climate.
haven't had that problem.
No, thankfully not yet.
So Eimhear, you have an album out. Can you tell us how we get our hands on that album and a wee bit about it?
Yeah, so the album is Ireland Lungs Be Free. That's a song that I wrote myself. So I actually put the words to it when I was over in Australia, because I was watching things that was happening back home and I was getting ready to move back home to Ireland, and I just seen the Irish Language Act being shot down and Arlene Foster, all the things that were happening at home, and internment that Tony Taylor was locked up at the time, so I was involved with the campaign with that. And so it was just my feelings at the time of what was happening currently in Ireland. So I just put the words down, and I had my song Ireland Lungs Be Free. So with that I was like, I'd like to record that. So I decided to do an album, and I went into doing an album, a studio album, and it just wasn't getting the feel of what it was. It was sounding a bit flat. So then I decided, you know what, my gigs, the atmosphere is normally really good at my gigs, the passion going, and people that come are really like good Republican audience as well. So I decided to do a live album, and I was playing in the Rock Bar at the time, doing Rebel Sundays there. So I thought, no better place in the Falls Road, West Belfast, iconic bar, the Rock Bar, and I got on well with the management and the staff there, so we decided to go for it. And I was lucky enough to get my dad, Jerry, he played a bit of backing guitar as well and sang to my sister Anya, joined in harmonies with the two Brendans and Maria Farrell, and then my brother Jared of the Irish Brigade, he played bass guitar, and then my other brother Michael was the sound engineer. So I was lucky, the whole family were able to, next Wednesday, and it was all of a sudden, next Wednesday, are you free, yes, obviously with all the bands, we could never get a weekend night free, so we just did it on a Wednesday night. Thank God it was full, the bar was full for a Wednesday night, which we were lucky about, and the live album was born.
I think anybody that follows you at all knows that it was never going to be anything other than a live album.
Yes.
The fight for freedom, it still goes on. Oh, I took up my gun on Freedom's Day. I pledged to fight for the Irish. So do not stand at Ní Ghlacaín. I am not there. I do not sleep.
In a live album,
Yes,
that is exactly who you are, and you do sing live. In terms of your music, Eimhear, how much of it are you, do you write, do you plan to write, are you thinking of bringing out another album? What can we see from Eimhear Rebel in the future?
Yeah, so I've been writing songs since I was about 12, so, and they've always got a little bit of a political slant to them as well, even when I was younger when I didn't know, but I wrote songs about bullying, like an anti-bullying song, and stereotyping and categorising, so I wrote a song about that. Looking back, it's funny. So then I have a couple other songs, a couple of love songs that I wrote when I was going through my teen years as well, and then I get on to writing a few more Rebel songs. So a few in the pipeline that I'm working on. It's just everything's a bit hectic at the moment. Flat out gigging, flat out, with the t-shirts, and then I'm moving house, and I've got 2 kids as well, so everything's a bit crazy. So definitely a new album. I was going to do another live album, live in Derry. There's been a ban on music now in the pubs, so that was meant to be next Thursday. I had a whole plan for a live in Derry album in Danny O'Neill's bar, but that's just postponed. Once the ban's lifted, we'll do that snappish. We'll get in very quickly.
Do you think we'll see something else for you before Christmas? Because I know a lot of people, love your merchandise, love your CDs. Can we expect something that'll be, filling stockings this year from Eimhear Rebel?
Hopefully, I'm going into the recording studio now this week, so hopefully I'll get a bit of a studio album with some ballads on it, and an original song as well. So
amazing. And for anybody that wants to follow you, social media is a strange place at the minute because of your background. You're a very defiant Rebel singer. Social media platforms are trying to take you down constantly. How are we going to follow you? How do we keep up to date with Eimhear Rebel?
Yeah, it seems to be the likes of Twitter and YouTube are the way to go at the minute. I'm on Facebook. I've had 2 pages taken down already over 3 or 4 years. I've got my 3rd page now set up, so within 2 days I've got 6,000 followers, so not bad. So again, shows the support for the rebel music and the rebel scene at the moment, so that's good. I've got my Facebook page, my Facebook profile. I have 21,000 followers on it, so you can follow it. It's just a personal page, personal profile. And I have my Instagram, Eimhear Rebel, my Snapchat, Eimhear Rebel, Twitter, Eimhear Rebel as well. So YouTube,
absolutely everywhere.
Covered, hopefully, yes.
Well, I noticed a few days ago your Facebook page, it was open less than 24 hours and there's like 6,000 likes on it, so that'll show you how popular the music is and how it's going.
That's it, definitely.
So Eimhear, thanks again. Look, we're in a very noisy bar here, or as you'll probably hear, you're just about to go live onto a very packed bar room out there. Is there anything that you want to say to your fans before we close up?
I'd just like to say thanks for all the support, keeping rebel music alive, singing the songs, keeping memories alive of the fallen heroes and keeping the cause alive, and Chucky Arla.